Hey guys, M.V.K here coming to you again. How's everybody doing out there? Yeah, it's back. Welcome back to Characters Why I Like Them Series 2. I finished off the first half. Now I'll bring you the next half for the characters that I'm going to show off for Series 2. As you can see, guys, we're going to one of my favorite anime characters, Mr. Himura, Kenshin Himura. Yeah. Thought it was about high time that I talk about Kenshin, uh, and just show my piece and why I like the character so much. Alright, so first of all, as I always do, I like to give the love and the respect to the creator of the character first. Kenshin Himura was created by Nobuhiro Watsuki. He actually created the character for the OVA and the just prayers of the character. Now, Himura is from the show, Samurai X, as well as Rurouni Kenshin, Wandering Samurai. Now, it takes place in the Meiji Revolution, during the Meiji era of Japan. And as you all know, Kenshin was an assassin during that time, and he was the best. His reputation, everybody knew who this guy was. Red hair, cross-shaped scar on his cheek. Himura the Batosai, the Manslayer. That was his name. They knew him by just. You didn't even have to know who he was. It was just the appearance. They just identifying who this guy was. You knew who he was. Now, some people would get the impression that this guy was a big, hulking man, but when you see him, his look is totally deceiving. But he practiced in the style of Hiten Mitsurugi style, which kind of resembles the ultrasonic technique, where he pretty much showed off godlike speed in terms of he would just take down opponent after opponent, no problem, with ease. And that was pretty much the legend that went on about him during that time, during that revolution, until all of a sudden he just disappeared. And nobody knew why he disappeared. And that was something that I always intrigued about. This guy was riding high for so long, and then all of a sudden he just disappears. Was it his way of saying that he's done? It was always that question. Was it his way of saying he was done with the revolution? He didn't want to slay any more people? And then years later, we find him wandering now, in a sense, trying to atone for his past sins. For example, he had a reverse blade. The dull blade, the dull side of his sword was outside, while the sharp blade was in. And he would come to befriend people like Kaoru and Moroku and all those other people that he would come to love and protect. And that was something that I always enjoyed about Kenshin. He understood the fact that yes, he has blood on his hands. He has major blood on his hands, but he's trying to atone for that. And I always applaud people who are trying to atone for their past sins, in a sense. And he knows that in terms of the era now that they're in, that the samurai are pretty much all dead. Like, you can't walk around town with a sword in your hand because you'll get arrested. But he did, and people still respected him for that. But of course, because of his legend, there were still others out there like him that could not change with the times. And that's where we saw people like Shishio and all them coming to fruition. Janae and all those other characters like that would show off, like, they're still doing what they did back then. They haven't really changed as much. And when they see that this man that was once the legendary Manslayer himself, posing as, in their mind, posing as a good man, a goody two shoes, it's like, why are you covering, you're a wolf in sheep's clothing. That's not you. But then when we really, by the second season of the Rurouni Kenshin, that's where we really got to see more of Kenshin's past, and we saw that Kenshin grew up very harsh, and it's almost amazing how he did not turn out worse for the worse. You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't have some kind of psychological problems the way he grew up. You know, before his master took him in, it was a lot of things that just made me question, like, wow, like, how this guy is sane and not more of a killer to the point where he doesn't care. He doesn't care about life. But he kind of turned out better for worse because he does care. You know, that was the one thing I always loved about, I did like about Kenshin, is that as much as he's gone out, here's a guy who's very soft-spoken, very sincere, very humble. You know, he cares. He stands for social. He stands for the terms of being well-being and social standings. He finds that standing for something that he believes in is worth standing for something that is not likely to matter, in a sense. You know, he doesn't care about senseless killing, but he will protect those he loves. And that was something that I always, when Kenshin would come in, like, I remember there was an episode when we first are introduced to Sano for the first time. When Sano finally found out who Kenshin really was, and then he started to go a little bit more hard on him because he believed that the group that he was a part of was betrayed by the government. He kind of went hard on Kenshin, and and then when Kenshin tried to show him that I'm not that same guy, or I'm fighting for something that I believe in now, he kind of took that and shown that, okay, you know what? I'm going to follow you now to see where this goes. And that was something that I enjoyed. And whenever Kaoru got into danger, he was always there to help her. Like, you saw the interest in kind of love between them, but it was all good. I really enjoyed that because it wasn't thrust down our throats like how some love interests and things like that are thrust down our throats. It's like, or things like that. So their relationship was really like, at first it was a little like, does she really like him, or is she just using him, or things like that? And then you saw it later on become more, which was fine. I enjoyed that. But that was the one thing, the most important thing about Kenshin that I really loved was not just his swordsmanship, because this guy was just badass with a sword. It was more, like I said, that he stood for his friends. He would protect them to the bitter end, no matter what. If they were in trouble, Kenshin was there to help. He was there, and that's something that I love about Kenshin the most. Out of all the things about his character, that's what I love the most about him, is that he stood by his friends. He did not betray them or turn against them. Maybe they did something wrong in their past, but he stood by them no matter what. That was always the best thing about him. He would come after them if they need be. I mean, like I said, for example, Janae. For example, when Janae took Kaoru, Janae wanted to fight Kenshin back as the Kenshin that we knew back in the Revolution, where he was kind of cold and what, the manslayer, you know what I'm saying? And it at one point it looked like that was the way it was gonna go, because Kenshin started to kind of lose himself in that, but it was basically Kaoru that kind of helped him get back to his senses, like, you know what, don't do that. No, it's not worth it. And those showed you the kind of relationships that he had with his friends. Kenshin was also a good teacher as well. He taught lessons to a lot of his group as well. The one thing I did love about Kenshin also was the fact that Kaoru was the master of her dojo, Kashin Sao Jr., and she would always talk about how her style was to protect. Was the sword was to protect. However, Kenshin broke it down, which was just really, really kind of funny, but honorably true. Where he literally said, "A sword is a tool for not for protection; it's a tool to kill." What Kaoru says is sweet, innocent talk that nobody who spilt blood is to hear. And that made a lot of sense, because if you've never spilt a person's blood, it was like, you know what, that's exactly right up his alley. That's right. Genshin has spilt a lot of blood, so he knows what it's like. While Kaoru has not spilt blood, she doesn't know what in terms of, because in a sense she's not using a real sword, she's using a wooden sword. But still, it was still great that he would break it down for a lot of people, but also tell them, like, no, you learn under Kaoru. She'll teach you, because a lot of people were like, no, I want to learn under you, Kenshin. I want to learn how to be fast and strong like you. And Kenshin, one thing I also loved is, like, he would never pass on his teachings. So when he dies, his training, everything like that, is dying with him. And I find that very good and wise to do, because you never know. You teach somebody else, they could become a monster. And I guess that was also the reason of why Kenshin didn't do that, is because maybe the fear of the future of his former disciple or so could get power hungry, could turn to something that he didn't want. So that was always another thing that I loved about Kenshin. But overall, like I said, Kenshin Himura, or however you want to classify Himura Kenshin, is just a great, honorable character, and I thank Watashi-san for creating the character, because it's a blessing. And still to this day, I can watch everything Kenshin was in and still love it, as classic as it is. Still love it, not get tired of it, and I just find him to be a very good. He's probably one of the greatest anime characters ever created, or manga characters ever created. And he stands the test of time. The next thing I think I would have to watch for Kenshin is the live action Kenshin movie that came out in Japan. I have got to see that, and I hear that they're gonna do a sequel to it, because it actually did very well worldwide. So I definitely got to see that movie. But other than that, the animes and everything like that, I'm on par with. I've seen everything other than that, but the live action movie, haven't seen, but I hear good things about it. But other than that, guys, that's my take on Kenshin Himura. Just a very good character. Truly somebody who very much lives up to the word atonement. He lives up to that word. But you guys tell me what you think about Kenshin. Do you like him? Do you hate him? Do you love what he stands for? The whole 9 yards. You know me, guys. I love input. I want to hear what you got to say. And other than that, guys, I want to just say, you guys take care, as always. This is Mount Vernon Kid. And I'll see you guys next time on Characters Why I Like Them, Series 2. I'll see you guys next week.